Hello everyone, I'm Shannon Kantner and you're watching a special CMSD TV program, Talk to the CEO, featuring District CEO Eric Gordon. We're here in the studio with him for a Q&A and updates about the 2016-2017 school year. Thank you so much for being here for another episode. We'll just jump right into it. CMSD's investment schools, identified for special intervention when the Cleveland Plan was launched in 2012, are about to begin a new stage in the improvement process. Can you tell us what is ahead for these schools?
Sure. So we committed to a 3-year investment in the investment schools. We actually went 4 years for our first cohort and then 3 years in our second. Some of those schools have improved sufficiently that we're kind of releasing them back into the more typical pool of schools. Some of those we're going to do some targeted interventions where we'll do some redesign work around specific portions, maybe primary reading or something of that nature. A few of them will do intensive redesign like we've done with high school models where we'll put a new program in place and that sort of thing. We also are working with a university to study what worked and didn't work in the investment school model and using that learning over the last 3 to 4 years to decide how to better use our investment strategy going forward.
Great. Well, we'll keep an eye on those schools, of course. Moving on, Ohio Governor John Kasich is preparing to release his recommendations for a new budget, but we already know at least one of those recommendations. He's calling for a 1% budget increase to K-12 education funding. What's your reaction to that proposal and any thoughts on how CMSD might be affected?
Well, of course, the devil's in the details, but I have to say that it was a pleasant surprise, and it shows the governor's commitment to education because the governor's also signaled that he's going to have to make reductions in previous increases that have occurred in the budget more universally. A lot will depend upon whether the governor and the legislature change the formula. We have had a changed formula every biennium for the last several years. I would advocate that they leave the formula alone, and putting a little more dollars in that is helpful to everyone. And I applaud the governor for thinking education should remain a priority even while he's facing difficult challenges.
Testing season is getting underway now. In the past, state tests have changed from year to year, as we know, making measurement of growth extremely difficult. This year, for the first time in a while, the tests will remain the same. So what does that stability mean for the district?
Well, it'll allow us, and not just us, every school district in the state, to finally start comparing apples to apples again. You know, the last 3 years with 3 different tests has been apples to oranges to pears. And now we need to be able to look at, from year to year, how are we improving? How are different cohorts doing over time? And that stability in testing is going to really allow that to occur again. And that's what used to happen before this upheaval. We were just in a very tumultuous time as the state was changing standards and finding the assessments that worked. So it's good to get this stability back.
Absolutely. On the topic of testing, we hear a lot about just the sheer number of tests that students take. What can you tell us about that volume?
Well, we do have too much testing, and I think everybody realizes that. The Council of the Great City Schools, which represents large urban districts, actually studied this and basically said everybody owns this problem. States own it, federal government owns it, and districts own it. What we're doing in Cleveland, the district and the teachers union just completed a survey of all of our teachers and administrators, had 1,500 responses, and are analyzing what tests are given to which children and for what purposes, and then asking teachers and administrators which they found useful, which they didn't find useful, so that we can decide what we can take out of the testing portfolio. We also asked which things, some ideas about how we could do business without tests, and surveyed teachers and principals to see if those ideas would work. And so for the rest of this semester, we're really going to be looking at it. So hopefully next year's testing calendar will have a few less tests from the district's point of view. At the same time, we hope that the state will continue to look at their regimen of testing. They passed some statutory regulations limiting the amount of testing, but they haven't actually reduced any assessments. And so interested to see what they'll do with that.
Absolutely. We've talked about school choice in past episodes and the role it plays in the district. It's officially school choice season now, with open enrollment underway at all grade levels, and 8th graders in particular are facing that very important decision, maybe the biggest one yet in their lives, of which high school they want to attend. Do you have any messages you want to convey to students and families out there about school choice?
Well, one of the advantages of CMSD is that we have so many high school choices. Small districts don't have the luxury of offering choices, but we have 26 high school choices, and we're opening a new maritime and aviation high school. We're opening an East Side Bard High School Early College, so we have an East east and a west. We're expanding Campus International to the high school, so we have an interbaccalaureate option, and we have lots of long-standing options that the district's had. So particularly for 8th grade students, we really need every student to make an active choice. And that choice can be, I choose to go to the school right down the street from me, or it could be to go to the new Rhodes High School that has an environmental focus in it, or to go across the city to a school, MC Squared STEM, that focuses on science and technology. But every child needs to make a choice. We have a big college fair, high school fair planned for our kids and families. Enrollment's through March 13th, and we can do it online either using the Enrollment mobile app, which you can download right to your iPhone or your Android, or at choosecmsd.org. So we've made it a simple process, and really everybody deserves the opportunity to do what most systems don't have the capacity to do.
Absolutely. The CEO and now doing marketing for the district too, right? You've plugged that perfectly. I thought I was going to have to say choosecmsd.org. Well done. Well, it's an important topic right now, of course, that students and families are talking about with school choice, and a perfect time to transition to other topics on the minds of our community members and parents out there. A new portion of the program, anyone can go online to clevelandmetroschools.org/CEO questions and fill out a form that you might answer right here. These ones are actually taken from a recent SPO and PAC networking meeting. So here they are from some parents out there in their community. I hope they're watching. How is the district working to recruit and hire more teachers of color?
You know, we have a really aggressive effort for recruitment of all teachers, including teachers of color. And you can see our recruitment effort at teachcleveland.org. But we actually have profiles of being Black in Cleveland or Hispanic in Cleveland, being young in Cleveland. We have targets set that we will recruit and hire more minority teachers than we currently have as a ratio. So we have those targets that our recruitment team actually actively looks for. We have recruited at historically Black colleges as an example. We have looked at traditional and non-traditional programs, so universities and Teach for America as an example. But it's actually a really high priority for the district. One of our best examples is we have a Black male teachers network where we're not only supporting our African American men who are in our classrooms, but also asking and encouraging them to identify their friends who may also be teachers who might come and teach Cleveland. So teachcleveland.org to learn a lot more about our recruitment strategy.
Great. Second question from a parent. Are parents allowed to be on interview committees for principals and teachers?
The answer is yes. So our teacher committee is a principal, representatives from the different teachers that might be on that committee, 3rd grade, that sort of thing, and a parent or community member. And then principals, while we do that process more essentially, we would also welcome parent input there. These are the people that are going to be leading their children, and so of course we want our parents engaged.
Great. I'm sure people will be happy to hear that and
absolutely.
Find out how to sign up right away. Third question. How does the district hold teachers accountable for meeting the content standards and ensuring that students are learning and growing?
So CMSD actually has one of the most rigorous teacher evaluation systems in the state of Ohio. Ohio adopted a model called OTES, the Ohio Teacher Evaluation System, that was modeled after what we built, the Teacher Development and Evaluation System, a couple of years earlier. Our standards are higher than the state. Our teachers are observed 5 different times through the course of the year. One of those is announced, the other 4 are unannounced, so we can see what we call making the Thanksgiving dinner. You know we're coming, make the best meal you've got. And we also can see you just putting dinner on the table like you're doing it every day. What am I going to see 4 more times? And then half of the evaluation is also student data from multiple sources. So there's test data about how students are performing on state tests. There's data on what are called student learning objectives or shorter term tests. And this goes back to your earlier question about testing. Mm-hmm. How do we capture that data to evaluate student and teacher and principal performance, because we roll it up to principals, without adding more assessments? And that's the big dilemma that we have to solve. But I would argue that our teachers are among the most accountable in the state of Ohio, and also that our teachers really rise to that occasion.
Wow. Well, what a wonderful note to end on. Thank you so much for answering those. And anything else that you want to make sure you get out there as we conclude this episode of Talk to the CEO?
Well, Happy New Year to all of our families. You know, it's great to be in our second semester. We're well into it now, and keep those questions coming.
All right, we will. Thank you for that reminder. Again, the marketing man here. You can go to clevelandmetroschools.org/CEO questions. It's a simple form. You can remain anonymous, and he might answer it on the next episode. In the meantime, make sure to follow District CEO Eric Gordon at Eric Gordon CEO. And for more CMSD TV programming, you can visit clevelandmetroschools.org/news. Thank you so much for being here with us, and we look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. Thanks.